I want to welcome Jake Barnett from our Sustainable Investment Stewardship team. Jake, can you tell us what is the Wespath Sustainable Economy Framework and how does this drive your work?
Thanks for having me, Joe. So as a reminder, our Sustainable Economy Framework refers to our belief that in order to achieve return expectations of our participants and institutional investors, we need to see the transition to a sustainable global economy. We define a sustainable global economy as one that promotes social cohesion, long-term prosperity for all, and environmental health. In the next few slides, we'll talk about some examples of our work on each of these pillars.
So Jake, on everyone's mind is the Russian invasion of Ukraine. What are the implications for this with regard to the Sustainable Economy Framework?
So there are obvious implications for both social cohesion and long-term prosperity for all to the recent invasion. But before discussing the practical implications of the invasion, I also wanted to feature this quote from our CIO, Dave Zellner, speaking about how the act of aggression and unprovoked attack goes against the fundamental principles of the Methodist Church and our commitment to peace and prosperity. I encourage each of you to read his blog if you want to learn more about our position. In terms of next steps we have taken in relation to the conflict, the first step was to instruct our asset manager to restrict new purchase of Russian securities within our portfolio. While there is not a functional ability to divest at the current moment due to sanctions, we are also using our invest, engage, and avoid framework to understand and examine how we want to position our portfolio to the long-term risks exposed by this event. This includes exploring engagement with companies and asset managers. Finally, we are exploring further collaboration on coordinated investor action with partners in civil society as well as other investors to encourage stronger adherence to international humanitarian law moving forward. Expect to hear more from us on that last front in days to come.
Thinking of the goal of long-term prosperity for all, can you talk about our positive social purpose lending program?
Always happy to talk about the PSP program, Joe. So we continue to invest in different affordable housing options through our positive social purpose lending program. And I'll share two examples today. The first is Abigail Apartments in Michigan, where we are helping to invest in senior housing associated with larger redevelopment that's innovative located on the campus of the former Michigan School of the Blind. Second is Main Street Apartments in Wisconsin, where we have invested in affordable multifamily units. Now, 13 of those 64 units are actually earmarked for veterans or individuals with disabilities. The project will link residents with services to help them retain independence. These investments underline our belief that affordable housing is a fundamental pillar for support of long-term prosperity for all.
So Jake, Earth Day is April 22nd, the day after we release this webinar. Can you talk about how Wespath is supporting the Sustainable Economy Framework of environmental health?
So I'm going to take the liberty to cheat slightly, Joe, and tell you about two publications related to Wespath's leadership on net zero that are now live as of the release of this webinar. The first is a paper I recently co-authored with Patrick Para from Allianz as co-leads of the Net Zero Asset Owner Alliance engagement track. The paper is titled Future of Engagement and lays out the case that corporate engagement is a necessary but not sufficient tool for investors committed to net zero. It then goes on to argue that investors should complement corporate engagement efforts with the systemic tools of sector, policy, and asset manager engagement. The paper was covered in industry media, as well as receiving an exclusive from Bloomberg, and will help shape our focus on the Sustainable Economy Framework stewardship moving forward. Wespath remains proud to be able to help contribute in meaningful ways to conversations about how to move global climate stewardship forward. The second announcement is more specific to the United Methodist Church and relates to the release of the inaugural progress report from the Net Zero Agency Coalition. As a reminder, this coalition is comprised of 12 of the UMC agencies who have collectively committed to achieving net zero in their facilities, operations, missions, and investments by 2050. As co-lead of this initiative, Wespath has helped put together the inaugural progress report. And to read more about what the coalition has done to date, please check out our website, UM News Service, or UMCom's new climate page dedicated to this initiative.
Thanks for the great work and the update, Jake.
Thanks, Joe.